again, Dr. Ryan here from Straight Up Spine and Posture. This is the third video part series of our home care series of using the tools that we use in the office here with patients for home care. So next we're going to discuss a lacrosse ball. Now, lacrosse balls are very popular for myofascial release, a classic. And you could substitute this for a tennis ball or a racket ball if you want something a little more squishy. But lacrosse balls tend to have a nice firm point that works great for muscular release. So things that you can do with a lacrosse ball is you can do kind of the same glute stuff that we just kind of showed on our last video. You put under the glute, you can roll through here and use it as kind of a trigger point release, so that's a good classic one. There's a nice release you can do on the side of the hip for the TFL, which is one of the two muscles that comprise the IT band. So this is one that gets a nice release of what people are trying to get at a lot of times rolling the IT band, which is not super effective. The IT band from a cadaver is like about as thick as a human. It's as thick as a leather belt, so it's a very thick piece of tendon. Where this muscle is just your classic muscle, it's going to release. So one of the ways we like to do that is just kind of get into that TFL and then just pretty much lay on it and scoot our body over. So we use this one quite a bit for hip release work. Another great thing you can do with this is the Vise Technique, which we have another video where we discuss the Vise Technique using something called an acupressure ball and a fancy tool from Kabuki Strength that is very expensive. So this is a much easier way for patients to do it, where a lot of times we use the lacrosse ball with a device like this that just kind of holds it in place. We'll talk about that next. And we'll use this Theracane that we discussed in the first video as well. This is a nice way to get and reach areas that you can't really get. Basically, nuts and bolts. We're going to lay on our back. We'll set this ball up, and then we can use the Theracane as leverage to vice these two points together, and then we can reach with the arm. So we recap that in another video, so I won't spend too much time on it here, but that's a great way to get a lot of big tension out of the traps in that upper area. But you can do the vice method almost anywhere, so we can use the same thing, a ball and some pressure. So if you want to do the calf, just get that under there, put some firm pressure. If you want a point, you could use this part of the Theracane or just the normal part. So there's a lot you can do with a lacrosse ball. Just using it against a wall sometimes too is easier for people if they have a hard time getting on the floor to do glute work. So it's a good classic one. They are kind of pricey, so it's one that you can find in bulk for pretty cheap. I'd pick up a few. We'll discuss next kind of this holder, how we specifically use that. But if you want to recap on the Theracane or the other ball, we have that in other videos. So we'll finish up the last video here.